Welcome back to the Ads and Dunks podcast, exclusively brought to you by the Ausmerican Aces. My name's obviously Adam Treloar. My co-host and best mate, Josh Dunkley. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. You're sporting a nice shiner there on your eye. You want to let us know how you're feeling? I actually didn't see the incident. What actually happened?
Yeah, so unfortunately, in the last quarter, bit of a head clash with Kitty Coleman. So he definitely came off worse for wear, and I sort of walked away from it. You should see his face, mate. His face is like
no good.
Fully, like under his eyes, just all puffed up. So he's out with the concussion.
So did he come off with the concussion rule, did he? Must be that big fat head of yours.
Yeah, I know, mate. Just Panda probably gave me his head.
You've definitely got Panda's legs and you've definitely got his head.
Yeah, that's good. But touching on round one, mate, let's have a chat. Obviously, it was a bit of a disappointing week for the both of us. You played well yourself individually, but run us through your game first and then I'll talk about ours.
Yeah, very disappointing. It definitely wasn't what we anticipated, or what. Well, not that what we anticipated. We clearly expected them to come out and play the way that they did. It definitely was a game of momentum in that first half. They started off really well, and then we were able to wrestle that back a little bit, and then we seemed to hit the lead, and you know, we were peppering away a bit, and we weren't able to kick a goal, but we were just clawing away, and I think we got to about 10 points in front, and I don't know whether it was we took them lightly from then on after that. You know, there was definitely periods there where we should have played better, and as I said, it's a game of momentum, and once they hit their lead late in that second, I think they took all that momentum into halftime and really hit the ground running after that. And as you know, from previous history being here and playing against Melbourne, they always seem to find another gear against us, and they definitely did. And I think what really hurt us as well is we allowed red time goals or goals late in the quarter that really hurt us. And it's you know, to be a really good side, you got to be able to consistently play from that first bounce to the very last bounce or to the very last siren, and we just weren't able to do that. You know, I think we kicked at an all-time low in terms of percentage, which is not us. We pride ourselves on our skills and being able to use both feet and be able to be damaging, especially off half-back with the ball users that we have and the guys inside. So, yeah, it was all in all a pretty disappointing performance. It's not what we wanted to be about and not how we want to play. So it doesn't get any easier. We've got a game obviously this week against St Kilda who knocked off a really good side in Fremantle and were extremely impressive in the way that they played on the weekend, the way they were able to move the footy through them. So we definitely licked our wounds a little bit on Monday in the review, and as I know you've been through a few reviews with Bevo after with the smile that you got going on after a tough loss. So we've got a good training session this week. We'll put into practice what we need to work on. What about yourself? Obviously, didn't get to see much of the game. I seen the first 5 minutes just to watch you run around in the number 5, but then obviously seeing the result wasn't ideal.
Nah, very similar to what you just touched on, mate. We could never get our game up and going, and credit to Port Adelaide. I mean, they brought the heat right from the start and really challenged us, I suppose, the inside work of some of their players through there, and then they just, you know, contested marking. They beat us all over the ground, and we just couldn't get anything going, unfortunately. But we know that we're better than that. I think the way that we've sort of come out of it and reviewed it, it's very unexpected sort of stuff that you know we can control ourselves. So looking forward to obviously playing against the D's who you had on last week on Friday night at the Gabba. So first home game for me and first home game for us this year, and looking forward to the challenge. Obviously, they're one of the great sides and very highly touted this year. So no better way to bounce back against a really strong competitor this year, I think.
Outside of obviously not winning and you guys being pretty disappointed, was it good to be able to play your first game officially as a Brisbane Lions player?
Yeah, it was. It was nice. I mean, you get jumper presentation pre-game and you pull on the jumper officially for the first time. And I was very grateful. Huey McCluggage presented my jumper, and it was just nice to be able to, you feel part of the family now. And now you've played that one game, it's out the way, and you sort of just look forward now into what's next. And obviously, as I mentioned, it's the D's on Friday night. But it is a great feeling to be able to run out and pull on the jumper for the first time and represent the great footy club that the Brisbane Lions is. So
I know what it's like playing over there in front of the Adelaide fans and in particular the Port Adelaide fans. They're a brutal bunch. Do you reckon that had a bit of a say in how they were playing and I guess the momentum shifts that they had? Because it's, as I said, they're a brutal bunch of fans.
Yeah, they are. Well, we played over there last year, and I remember we gave up a string of goals. I think we kicked the first few goals and then gave up a string of goals in that third quarter. And it was very similar for us last game. The way that we sort of got to halftime, we were 2 goals up, I think, at halftime, and then they kicked one just before halftime, so had the momentum going into the break, and the crowd was up and about. So then they came out in the third quarter and kicked. I think they kicked 6 goals or something just like that. Yeah, it was quick, and so it was disappointing, as I mentioned, but individually just couldn't really get into it. We didn't get much of the footy, so it was a tough day at the office, but look forward to hopefully bouncing back this week.
Do you know what's funny about that game you brought up last year? Just made me think. That was the game where I had about 40 lozenges throughout the game. Do you remember I was crook as?
Yes.
I felt like I was on my deathbed. I was actually crook. I had the flu and I actually went into the emergency. Remember I got back on the Friday and on the Saturday and went into emergency. I just remember having the lozenges. It's a joke that I joke about with Bally, our physio, and the doctor still. I remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
You looking at me like, whoa, are you all right, mate?
I remember running into you in the hallway just before the game, and you kept walking into your room and you were cooked. And I was like, oh, wow.
One other thing I have to touch on, just one more thing about your game. Obviously, Jason Horne-Francis' first game as a Port Adelaide player. I seen some highlights. He looked unreal. I heard one of the commentators say with the shirt tucked in and the shorts pulled up, he looks a bit like Nathan Buckley and played a bit like Nathan Buckley. I don't mind the comparison because obviously Bucks is one of the greatest players of all time. Jeezy looked good.
He did, mate. He's very good. I mean, his ability on the inside to be really strong in the contest, but then his leg speed to sort of get himself out was very impressive. So we probably didn't help ourselves in trying to stop him because we weren't very good around the source and away from it. So we sort of gave him free rein a little bit, which was disappointing from our regard. But yeah, it was pretty impressive to watch him first up in the Port jersey for the first time and see him sort of tear us apart. So he's going to be a player to watch moving forward, and I think that looking forward to seeing him how he goes.
Tear us apart, no pun intended, obviously, because that's obviously what Port Adelaide's
never tear us apart.
It's their slogan that they do. But he looked impressive.
Yeah, he was good. But you'd sort of touched on what you guys could have done better. But is there anything that stood out, like something you might need to tell me, mate, for this week with the Ds?
Oh, yeah. Maybe after we're done with this potty, I'll give you a call and we'll chat for an hour about it. But no, I think obviously it was the first time Brodie and Maxi Gawn played together, and, that's going to clearly be a weapon for them going forward. Their centre bounce work was something that we wanted to nullify and stop, and, there were times where we were able to, but then there were times when you just couldn't because of the quality of the player that they are and the quality that they have inside. The scary thing for you guys is that I think I read today there's Jack Viney, Christian Salem, Stephen May, and Bailey Fritz still to come in, which is pretty scary and daunting for you guys. But, I think, you've played against them too many times to know, how good they are. And if you give them, I guess, momentum and an advantage, they're going to take that and before you know it, they'll have 4 or 5 goals piled on. You can talk about the likes of obviously Christian Petrarca and Clayton Oliver inside who get the job done, but Spargo went through there, Tommy Sparrow went through there. There's guys that that probably aren't as well known, but who because of the quality of their teammates, they get the job done. So you're definitely going to have your hands full with those guys, but I think your contest is going to be a great contest. I think I think there's no better contest to have off the back of one, Melbourne playing so well, but then you guys obviously not playing the way you want to play. So I think it's going to be great for you guys, and no doubt yourself. I know you like coming up against the best of the best, and you're going to have to, deal with trying to stop Track and Clary. So good luck to that, mate.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to it.
Do you preview early in the week, or do you leave that late, or
pretty early? We previewed them today, so had a look at the Oppo review. Sort of was today. So yeah, pretty early in the week compared to what we sort of used to do at the Doggies. But yeah, obviously everyone really knows. Well, Brisbane played against Melbourne 3 times, I think, last year. So everyone knows how they play. They haven't changed a lot. They've obviously got some new personnel. Obviously Brody and Hunts is there as well from the Dogs. So yeah, they've got some good ins, and obviously, as you mentioned, there's a few coming back from injury as well. So we're going to have our hands full. But the mindset moving into it will just be to play footy and hopefully beat them at the source, and then the rest will take care of itself. I think if we get our forwards firing, then hopefully we can kick some goals and put a score on the scoreboard that's going to be challenging in the end.
And obviously first home game for you guys, which we spoke about SA advantage. It's definitely a fortress up there when non-Queensland based teams go to play at the Gabba. Geez, you must be excited for that.
Yeah, I am. I'm pumped. I can't wait to be on the home team, mate. We played up here last year, and there was not a sound in the crowd for us, really. You hear a couple of fans, Bulldogs fans up here, but no, I'm looking forward to playing for the home side in Brisbane, and obviously my first home game too. So really pumped, and get a couple of I think mum and dad might be coming up, so, and my uncle and a few others might be there too. So it'll be pretty cool to play at home.
No doubt half of Yarram will probably venture up there, and Merle might be there. You might have everyone up there.
Yeah, imagine that. Get a busload up here. That'd be nice.
They should. I mean, I know when we played our home games, or when we played in Victoria, let alone our home games, you always had half of Yarram there supporting us, obviously when you're at the Bulldogs. So I can imagine what it's going to be like for your first game for a new footy club. It's going to be exciting. You'll have everyone sleeping at your house.
Yeah. Everyone wants to stay here, mate. Got to keep them out.
Yeah.
But no, do you have any tips? Do you have any tips for sort of younger people out there that may listen to our podcast? How to bounce back after a week that might not be so good?
Oh, yeah. I think each individual is obviously different, and you'd obviously have your ways and I've had my ways. But, I try not to change too much from week to week. The priority probably is first you obviously got to look after the body. But in terms of, reviewing what's been a challenging week, I think you just got to take it all, I guess, in your stride. And the way that we do is, on the Monday we have pretty stern talks with, our line coaches and as I said, Bevo touched on what went, what went wrong, but what we can improve on. And I think that's, taking that on in your stride, and, that comes with time, because when you're young, and again, you would have experienced this too, when you're young, it's hard to not think that your coach is having a go at you or doesn't like you or for something that you've done wrong, whether it's, not winning a contest or not running back defensively or whatever it may be. But as you get older, you start to learn that, they're there to help you as much as anything. And I think it's taking that on early in the week and then having the opportunity to practice that. So our main session obviously is next week. And as I touched on earlier, we definitely didn't kick the ball well. So no doubt tomorrow's session, I'm anticipating it for it to be something that we'll focus on our ball use, especially from the back half. So, I think that side of things, I think, going to school on what you need to work on individually is important as well. And as I said, most of the time you're probably going to be your own harshest critic. So, for me, I want to be able to, hold the footy a little bit longer and, draw, I guess, opposition to me and for me to be able to bring my teammates into it. So, how I practice that, whether that's, with my line coach or you're not there anymore. So I might have to, go lean on one of the guys that's coming through the VFL or a guy like Robbie McComb, who's, on the fringe of playing ones who is a similar position to me. So, yeah, probably things like that. What about yourself? Obviously, as you said, been a tough week for you, and there's obviously individual things that you want to do. And as a team, what tips would you have?
Yeah, I think it's pretty tough when you obviously individually and as a collective you don't play well. I like what you said when you touched on you sort of back in the work that you you've been doing and that you're going to do throughout the week. So you don't want to change too much. And for me personally, I wouldn't change a lot either. I know that I do certain things on certain days that are fine-tuning my growth areas and then also my strengths as well. So you sort of just got to keep doing the work and back in that, things will turn eventually. So, yeah, I think for me, it's more that and looking at the positives. I know that, even though it was a pretty average game, there's still things in the game that you did well. Might have been, sliding back to help out the backs or putting pressure on or getting over to help a teammate outnumber, things like that. Like there's always positives to find within games. So try not to get yourself too wound up and negative in the mind. More focus on the positives and look forward to the next week. I think that's really important.
What's your view on watching vision? Like how much vision do you watch? Because you hear NBA players and NFL players, especially NBA players, always say the amount of film they're watching and this and that. And I'm always thinking in my head, there's only so much film you can watch. Are you one to, especially after a loss as well or a tough loss, are you one to watch heaps of vision or do you watch heaps of vision or like watch the opposition or yourself? What's your go?
Yeah, I'll watch myself back. Like we can get it on our phone now. It's pretty simple. Like you just go on the app and you can sort of see your stat line. But I do like to watch back, certain moments. So with a coach, Cam Bruce is our mid coach, so I'll go and sit down with him. Same with the forward coach. So yeah, little things like that you can sort of look back on the game and discuss areas that you can improve. And I really like doing that. I probably do that most days. And then leading into the team that we're playing, similar thing. Like you want to know who you're playing against, know your opponent really well. So yeah, it's probably a little bit less than NBA, NFL. Like you see them on the bench all the time with the iPads and stuff, and they've always got it out. And I don't think we do that as much, but I feel like the game is evolving to that point where we actually can start to do those things. Because I remember last year, like at halftime on the weekend, I think at halftime we were watching a clip in the rooms, and it's just great to have that technology and live feedback at the time.
Yeah, I think the live feedback's extremely important, especially when it comes to structures. And if we're losing at centre bounce, like we made an adjustment. I think at halftime we made an adjustment to how we were positioning ourselves at centre bounce because we needed to. But yeah, like I've never really been one. Like early days I was, but I think as you get a bit older, you know so much about the opposition. You know what foot they like to kick, how they move from stoppage. That it's kind of just in your mind. So it was an interesting one I wanted to know, especially after a tough week. Like, do you go overboard and watch vision? But you made a good point before about not trying to change too much because obviously you've put in that much work to get to where you are and whatnot. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, as you'd say, just after one loss.
Yeah, and I think everyone can, like round one can be blown up to be the week before finals. So it's like you can't really look into it too much. I mean, it's one game out of 23 I think we're playing this year, and then hopefully finals as well. So yeah, it's one that obviously we're both disappointed in, and as a collective, individually, you dominated, I didn't, but looking forward to moving on, mate. But did any other teams surprise you this week?
No, I always watch Collingwood closely because I've got great teammates out there. And I've got to mention Howie. I want to send him all our love. Both of us send Howie our love because obviously a terrible injury. So sending him our love. He was very popular with his podcast he did with us last year. So we'll have to get him on once he's up and firing. But no, I watched them closely and geez, they were so good to watch. I think not that they surprised me, but I wanted to just see how they went. Obviously, there was no expectation on the Pies last year, and then obviously there was a bit of expectation going into round one. And geez, did they impress? So they're one that I watched closely, and they were great to watch. I think the teams like, I know you hate to hear it, but Port Adelaide, I think they were one that I was very keen on seeing how they went. Obviously, there's been a bit of pressure on them. Extremely impressive. St Kilda is another one. You like to see those teams that, haven't really been, pushing for finals, but are there now. Well, are there, are putting themselves in a position to be there, see how they go. And those are the two teams that impressed me. I think also I like to look at teams like Sydney as well, who were there last year, to see how they bounced back. And again, they were extremely impressive. And I think before you mentioned who was impressive to you, players that impressed me, and I know you'll say this kid, Harry Sheasel from North Melbourne. Yeah, he was unreal.
Well, North, they look great. North Melbourne. He dominated that Sheasel. He's going to be some kind of player down 18. The track. Or he already showed on the weekend what he's capable of, and I think he's going to be a superstar of the future. But yeah, for me, it was North. I watched the Saints game on the Sunday. I watched a bit of your game. Melbourne looked good. Obviously, one of the teams that will be up there. So, yeah, the Saints this week will be another tough one for you boys, and obviously we got the D's. So, looking forward to that.
Before we go on, I got to also mention Essendon. I think to me they played a little bit different to how we may have played against them. They looked obviously a little bit more aggressive with the ball, and they were really taking it on, and they were getting it into inside 50 to their forwards 1-on-1, which is not necessarily from what I seen last season. They definitely weren't doing that, so it was clearly more direct, and they looked really good as well. So and I think that whether that's or would be obviously Brad Scott coming in, bringing a new a new lease on life and an expectation. So they looked really good as well.
Yeah, they were good. They were very impressive. The Hawks kicked the first few goals, didn't they? And then the Bombers turned it on.
Yeah. I was thinking, wow, they look really good, Hawks. And then obviously Essendon turned it on. And yeah, there were great moments. But as you said, round one, people can really
read
make
into it.
Some funny decisions based off round one.
Always the case. Always the case.
Yeah, it's always the case.
In saying that, I do think that as a team, you want to win round one. Like that's nice. It's always nice to win that game because it sort of gets you going for the year. But if you don't, I don't feel like it's too much of a big deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about the first game of the season, the draw? What's your thoughts on that? Because there's been a bit of talk about going to overtime and playing minutes or just having a draw. What's your opinion?
I personally think a draw is a draw. Like you get 2 points. Like I feel like if we were to play another, whatever it was, 5-10 minutes, like everyone's knackered in a draw. I don't know if anyone could go much further, but then you talk about the tactical sub these days and how that could be used and certain things might change. So personally, I think just leave it as it is, but we're all for change and we do it all the time. So what do you think?
Oh, well, yeah, we do. No, I think I'm the same as you. I'm old school. I think it should stay the same. I think it adds to, later on in the season, the excitement of ladder positionings and whatnot. Clearly, you get 2 points if you draw, so it's not like you're getting nothing.
What happens in finals if we draw? I
think it's 5 minutes extra time for 2 quarters, 2 halves, essentially.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, because I think the last final that was drawn, I could be wrong. Maybe we need to add a trivia segment, but I know I'd win that. I could be wrong, but I think it was West Coast Port Adelaide over in Adelaide 2017 when do you remember when Luke Shuey got that high tackle and kicked the goal after the siren? I've played in one draw, Adelaide Collingwood 217. We're up by 52 points. And Adelaide came back.
52 points.
Adelaide came back and Mitch McGovern took a mark. 3 seconds to go. Took an absolute ripper, and kicked the goal after the siren to draw. Yeah, we're up by about 52. Yeah, it's one of the biggest comebacks.
How were you feeling after the game?
Oh, how do you think I was feeling, mate? I was bouncing off the walls. I was shocked.
You would have been filthy.
I couldn't believe it. I was filthy as, mate. As you could imagine being. And you know what? They obviously went and made the grand final that year. So we knew that they were a good side, and to be 52 points up. Yeah. Have you played in one?
Good. Nah, I haven't. I haven't played in one.
Knock on wood?
Yeah. I've been, I think, the closest one was probably a semi-final against Brizzy a couple of years ago. But
yep.
Was that the closest? Yeah. I reckon that was the closest game I've ever played in. Yeah. So, obviously, that was a bit of a different feeling.
Oh, mate. So we're all supporting the no overtime, which I think most people would be the same.
Yeah, I just think leave it as it is.
I seen something today. Actually, it's a good point I wanted to bring up from Scotty Pendlebury. Just before I say it, heck, he's so good. He's so good.
He's so good.
He is so good. It's just insane. The fact that I was able to play with him. But anyway, I heard him make a point today about a sin bin in the AFL.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I don't mind the idea. I don't mind it because well, if we're trying to stamp out or mark out the bump and make sure that it doesn't happen, then the team that is just all the players obviously deciding to make the bump, but the team it's actually going to be affected after that player makes that decision. So I feel like then it puts a doubt in players' mind that maybe I shouldn't do that. So it might be a good thing. I think it's definitely an advantage to the other team.
I don't mind it because I've seen how it's kind of worked in other sports. It clearly works in the NRL. The NRL use it. I'm not sure about the rugby union because I don't really know the rugby union, but I'm pretty sure they would too. So soccer obviously have a red and a yellow card. And as you said, I think not necessarily stamping out the bump, but stamping out, acts that might impact the player or seriously hurt the player. I think it could be something that we can consider. No doubt at all. Like I've got no doubt the AFL have seen that and they would be thinking, wow, this could be something. Maybe we could trial this, in a VFL game or whatever it may be. Like it'd be pretty crazy. How would you approach it? If we're playing a 17 v 18, like how are you, what are you going to do? Like it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy to think about it. Thinking in real time right now, what it'd be like.
Like as a defensive team, as in the 17 team or the 18
17,
team?
Like you're going to have to sacrifice a position. You're going to have to probably obviously sacrifice a forward, but it'd be pretty crazy.
It'd be nuts because there'd be space somewhere on the ground that you just couldn't cover.
Yeah, I know. But no doubt there's going to get some traction. I reckon there will be some traction.
Now, moving on, mate. We'll move on now. We'll go to the cross the ditch over in the NFL and NBA. How's all the trades gone down? Like it's pretty crazy.
Almost coming to an end, the week's worth, but there's obviously been free agents getting signed. Dalton Schultz today was signed from Dallas to the Texans, which I made a joke today to one of my mates that he's a tight end, but he's now going to be the wide receiver one, the tight end one, and the running back one because they literally have no one, Houston Texans. But it's going to be interesting to see. They also signed Devin Singletary today, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, he's been to a few now, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yep. He always gets moved around. Damien Harris, another one. He got moved to the Bills. There goes his career, Damien Harris. Because if you're a running back in Denver, in Buffalo, you're almost irrelevant because Josh Allen runs the ball that much.
And they've got wide receivers everywhere. Oh. So they just they just throw the ball or Josh Allen rushes it. So you might as well not even be there.
And I just can't believe the amount of money that is just getting thrown around.
You know what's cool? I think the way I don't know if it happens these days with the AFL, but guys are changing their contracts so they can get good players in.
Is that something you'd well and truly do?
Oh yeah, personally, yeah. If it was to help get someone to the footy club.
Say you sign a lifetime deal, as a lot of 25, 26-year-olds plan to do, and in the first or second year they come to you and say, oh, can you sacrifice a little bit to bring in a teammate, or to bring in someone else who's going to help us? It's definitely something you consider.
Oh, you consider it, yeah, for sure. If it's going to help you have that success, I would consider it, definitely. You?
I know you would as an individual. Oh, absolutely, mate. I think as you get older, as we've said before, the priorities clearly change. And the only reason I'm playing the game is obviously for my family and friends, but I just want to win. And if that's going to bring in, if that's going to help with other people come in, well and truly. It's crazy. It's crazy what I was going to say, the amount of money that gets thrown around regardless of the age. Adam, as I was about to say, Adam Thielen, he's 30, I think he's 35 or 36, and he signed a 3-year deal, 20 million. It's just ridiculous.
Who was that kicker? Who was the kicker that signed
the 4-year
deal?
I think it was 4 years, 21 million. A kicker.
21.
Who could potentially in games not even come on. What's your thoughts on Dillon Brooks from Memphis? Do you have an opinion on him at all? Or Memphis in general?
It's so funny. We're going to talk about the NBA soon, but we might as well talk about it now. To be honest, I can't really stand him.
Neither can I. But did you see today? So he's obviously finished the game against Dallas. Did you see
him and Kyrie?
Yes, he tried to give him his jersey. Kyrie didn't take it. Oh, wow. You'd be filthy. You'd be absolutely filthy, wouldn't you?
That's a bit of a chink in the armor, I reckon. That's you're a bit worried about it, like how you going after that. Kyrie superstar. Yeah,
but don't you reckon you don't think that he knows, or do you reckon that's just obviously the way NBA and NFL players are? Like, surely he knows he's kind of like the villain to most people.
You'd think so. Like, if he's going to, well, everyone talks about him now, and Draymond and all the Golden State Warriors hate him. But yeah.
Did you see Clay?
Yeah, counting his fingers.
When he was doing the 4, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I could flex and do that. You know, you could do that.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah, you could do the 1. You could do the 1. If anyone's giving it to you. No, I know you wouldn't. But Jordan Lewis, remember when Jordan Lewis did it?
No, I don't. When did he do that?
Jordan, when he was, might have been his last couple of years at Hawthorn, or maybe he was at Melbourne at this stage. But someone must have been giving it to him, an opposition player. And he's done the old Dillon Brooks. Well, you'd say Dillon Brooks has done the old Jordan Lewis and just done the 4 fingers. Oh, mate, that's a flex and a half. And you know what? In my opinion, that is not being arrogant, because it's not about you as an individual. Your team won 4 flags. So if you did this, Dunks, if anyone gives it to you, you literally could just go like that. I wish I could do that.
Oh, I just couldn't see myself doing it.
I know you couldn't. I haven't even won a flag in general. How many flags have you won as a in your life?
In my life,
junior footy and cricket, whatever you want to call it. Badminton, because I know you played badminton.
Yeah. No, I'm going to say I'll just go with footy. I think we won under 12s, under 14s. I won under 16s. I won a senior flag at 15 years old, and then the doggies won in 16. So there's a few.
Wow. And here I haven't even won one. I've lost like 6 grand finals in my life. I can't flex on
you get there, mate.
Hope so. I friggin' hope so. But no, we obviously we love touching on our NBA. Did you see Austin Reeves yesterday? I think it was.
He's dominating ever since LeBron's gone out, mate. He's been so good. I feel like he's just been waiting.
Oh yeah, I knew. Oh, I didn't know. I laugh about this because on Dabble, which one of our great producer Tommy Sheridan loves his Dabble.
Oh yeah,
I actually jumped on a Dabble with the Lakers, and it was Anthony Davis to have 25 and 10, and obviously loaded straight into the game. Had a look at the Lakers. I didn't see the box score, but I seen they were up. Well, it was like 109 to 103, and I was like, oh, easy. Anthony Davis is easy going to have 20 and 10. Loaded straight in. He's had like 15 and 8. And I'm like, who's going off? Had a look straight away. Austin Reeves, 34, 6 and 6. And I was like, you kidding? Of course. Of course he's done this when I've put the money on. Of course. But I was like, wow, he's a gun. He's a fan favorite, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's killing it at the Lakers. When is LeBron due back? Do you know that?
He's more than likely going to miss the regular season.
So do you reckon if he does come back in for the playoffs or play-in tournament, whatever they're in, will Austin Reeves take a back seat?
Absolutely. Come on, mate. You know what? Let's be real.
But like a real back seat, like genuine. Just let LeBron do it all.
Yeah, I think next game Austin Reeves comes out and has maybe 10 points. You know what I'm interested to see is I had this discussion the other day with one of my mates, and I personally think, so we were talking about the Lakers, right? We're talking about all they need to do is make the playoffs, get LeBron back, this and that. You know, they're going to be a chance to beat anybody. I personally think, and I'd love to know what you think, LeBron now doesn't have the ability to single-handedly drag his team over the line purely because I don't think he impacts the floor defensively like he used to. Sorry, there's my phone going off. Probably someone talking about that. defensively like he used to unless he's fully locked in. But from what I've seen, he hasn't been able to do that. So I don't think he has the ability to be able to do that anymore. I reckon he can get easy buckets, cheap buckets, but I don't think he does that now. I don't think he impacts the games like he used to be able to. Is that just me, or what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think now it's definitely more of a team, like the successful teams are like actual teams that win it rather than individual players. Like even looking at Luka and Kyrie at the moment, like they're two superstar players that are in the same team. And is it working for them? Are the others is the depth chart really good? I think now that to win an NBA championship, you've got to have really good depth and really good teams around you. So I agree with you. I think LeBron's doesn't have that impact anymore. But yeah, that sort of brought me to the next point of Luka and Kyrie. And
I'm interested to see, like, because I think they'll make the play in, the Lakers, and then I reckon we'll see. Obviously, LeBron will find his way back because I know after last year's playoffs. During the playoffs, he was tweeting about he made this tweet. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like a tweet saying, hey, I don't know, it was like, I'll be back or something like that. Watch out, I'll be back. And all year I've been thinking, I honestly been thinking back to that tweet, like, it's going to be pretty funny if he actually doesn't make the playoffs because then what is he going to say? So I'm interested to see if he actually makes it and if he actually has that impact, which I think he will. Like, I think he will, but I don't think he has that pull, say like a Giannis does on Milwaukee. If Giannis is out, there's a distinct difference in how Milwaukee play versus when Giannis is on. Joel Embiid is the same. I think Luka Doncic is the same to some certain degree. They're just not finding it. It's just not working with Kyrie at the moment. But yeah, I think LeBron doesn't have that anymore. I'd love to see what the general person would think. No doubt there's probably going to be an influx of LeBron fans messaging in saying he definitely has that pull, this and that. But it'd be interesting to see. The Australians over in the NBA are playing some good basketball. Obviously headed by Josh Giddey, who's just a freak, absolute freak. Josh Green at Dallas is unbelievable as well. He's been incredible. I just want our man Ben Simmons to go back to being Ben Simmons. I'm still very optimistic that he will. I think he can't lose his ability overnight, especially his defensive prowess. It's the reason why he was a top 15, 20 player in the league is because defensively he was unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like maybe it probably is all mental, but for me, I feel like someone's got to help him. Someone's just got to help him be who he wants to be and get back to that, the Ben Simmons that we all know. That dominated, mate. He dominated. But now, moving on, mate. We're nearly wrapping up, so we'll just go on to round 2 preview. We sort of touched on it a little bit at the top, but what are you expecting? Obviously, after a loss, how's the team going to bounce back? Obviously, the Saints. You're playing against the Saints on Saturday night. They played a really good game against the Freo Dockers. Are you going to survive the Ross Lyon defensive plan like he's been so good for so many years? And then we all know what kind of coach he is. Like, how are you going to go about it?
Officially our first home game, so it's exciting that we get to play at Marvel, and we always get a good turnout there. So really excited about that. And well, yeah, I obviously watched a bit of the Saints boys on the weekend. Looked took a keen interest on Big Zane Cordy, who's obviously one of our ex-teammates. It's funny watching him run around in the St Kilda uniform. Kicked a nice goal at the end of the game, which is good. But
he did.
He did. It was a good goal. I didn't think he was going to make the distance, but he did. But no, I took a really good interest in how they played, and obviously touched on the defensive side that Ross brings and how they play. That was clearly evident. I think they kept Freo to, I think it was like 60 points or whatever it was. It was very low, and I think what impressed me the most is the way they were able to move the footy, and they ran really hard for each other, and we're definitely going to have our running shoes on, it being a fast track at Marvel, but also the way that obviously the Saints wanted to play. So it's an exciting one. I think I think we're going to be well prepared, and as I said before, we know where we want to improve, and the last couple of times we've played against the Saints, we've been able to have their measure. So no doubt they're going to come out and be fired up and want to want to rectify those past games and want to bring their best against us. So we're going to be up for the battle. They've got some great players across all lines. We'll have a good preview on them tomorrow and on the captain runs day. But really looking forward to the contest. Really looking forward to it, and no doubt you'll be watching as well. Really keen. What about you? Well, we touched on the Demons before, obviously, but you've played them quite a bit, and there's a little bit of a rivalry there between you guys because you guys have played quite a bit. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, there is. I was thinking back to last year, there was a couple of fiery clashes between the D's and the Lions. So to be a part of that now is cool. I think we, at the Dogs, we always had a bit of a rivalry with them anyway. So for me, it's not going to change too much. But I feel like as I touched on at the start, I think their running ability, and they've obviously picked up Hunts, who we all know can cover some ground, and Langdon's on the other wing. So we're going to have to really stop their running ability and work hard to help our defenders out because they've got the big key forwards and same down the other end. So it's going to be a massive challenge for us. I feel like we're ready for it. We've had a good week on the track and really reviewed the game last week. That was very disappointing, and looking forward to rectifying sort of things that we didn't do so well against Port, and looking forward to the first home game for this year in Brizzy. So exciting times, mate, and obviously another round to kickstart, which is good.
I'll be taking a keen interest on that one. I am very excited to see because obviously once our games are done this week, we've got an exciting matchup next week. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how we go.
Yeah,
and then the round 3 matchup.
That'll be
which we'll touch on
good, won't it?
It will be. It will be. One thing I want to do, before we say our goodbyes, is we're going to make sure we fit in some questions on the show from some of our listeners and viewers, because we get some great questions asked. I'd love to be able to answer back. And I know when it comes between you and me doing who does the homework and the work, I know you're the man, not me. I'll just rock up and take 20 hours to set up my camera and then start talking. So we'll make sure we get some questions answered.
Maybe we'll just say it now. Everyone can send it in to Ausmerican Aces on Instagram. Comment on the YouTubes and stuff like that. So feel free to send us in any questions that you might have, and we'll hopefully get them on the show next week or in the coming weeks. But yeah, thanks, Sazzy, for another ep, mate. Looking forward to obviously doing some more, but another one ticked off. And thanks everyone for listening to the second episode of the Ads and Dunks podcast, brought to you by Ausmerican Aces. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to Ausmerican Aces on all social media channels. Don't miss a single thing when it comes to the Ads and Dunks podcast. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks, Adsy.
Thanks, mate.